Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Amy Kiskala is Director of Wealth Strategy at Annex Wealth Management, also a CFP, a CPA, and actively involved with Annex Private Client Team. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Danny.
You're also a lawyer too, right?
I am, yes.
Yes, you are. All right. Legendary Warren Buffett created some talk recently. He shared his wisdom regarding estate planning. Now, most estimates of his net worth put him just north of $150 billion, and he knows he can't take it with him. One thing he said generated a lot of headlines, Amy, and that was, when your children are mature, have them read your will before you sign it. What was your reaction when you heard that?
I have been asked this question a lot over the course of my career. Now, typically, it's after the estate plan has already been signed. And in general, there are a lot of really good reasons to share some level of detail around the estate plan. But how much is really going to depend on circumstances and family dynamics. Some parents only want to share high level with their kids, whereas others really want to dive deep and share all the financial information and all of the details, and maybe even have your kids read the plan.
I don't know how you argue with Warren Buffett, but I can imagine this opens a gigantic can of worms.
It sure can, especially if children are going to be receiving maybe less than they expected to.
Warren Buffett's philosophy is to share your estate plan details with your heirs to head off any issues. Is there an obligation to explain why you might be giving away part of your legacy to, charity instead of leaving it to the heirs?
There is really not an obligation to share those details with your children. It is a personal decision. Particularly when it comes to charity, there are a lot of really good reasons to think about sharing that. Estate planning is not just about how your assets are going to transfer, but it's also about passing around your values. And that includes your values around charity. So good reason to share that with your children. And your kids may be involved in planning the charitable after your death. Say if there's a donor advised fund or a private foundation, they're going to have to pick up that charitable torch for the family.
If you give more to one child than another, telling everybody about it in advance can prevent bad feelings. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but you might have a wild child. You might have a kid with issues. You got to kind of put some guardrails up.
You really do. I don't know how I feel about that one as well. There are some circumstances where it makes a lot of sense. If you have one child is just very well-to-do, the other is not, maybe explaining that rationale during lifetime can make a lot of sense. I do think you want to be mindful of family dynamics, and I would really recommend that talk with an estate planning attorney if you're looking at those unequal distributions or disinheriting a child. You want to make sure your plan is protected against any kind of future challenges to the plan.
Warren Buffett spoke of a disinterested third party administering the trust, maybe not for his children, but for several generations down the line. And it makes sense because as we age, our heirs are also aging, right? And Buffett feels that future generations are another matter entirely. Planning for them is important. Boy, that's many moves down the chessboard.
Yeah, he's making a really good point here. We often see plans and trusts that really look at the current generation, and who you've named as trustee makes sense based on who you know. But if you think about trusts that will last through grandchildren and future generations, those are an unknown commodities in the family unit. And so thinking about what that decision-making or who's going to be in charge makes sense. It could mean having a corporate trustee, or it could mean at least having a really good mechanism in the trust to make sure you have a succession plan in place to name future trustees.
Is this what they mean when I hear the phrase generational wealth?
It is. It means a plan that's going to last through multiple generations, can last well into the future.
Amy Kiskala is Director of Wealth Strategy at Annex Wealth Management. We're talking about Warren Buffett's philosophy on estate planning, something he shared in a newsletter. So his children are co-trustees. Any decision they make needs to be unanimous. He's been challenged on that point, but he feels that that's the right way to go for him.
That's an interesting point. So it's very common for parents to want to name the kids as co-trustees. And the trust document really needs to talk about how those decisions are made. It could be unanimous, it could be by majority, or it could be that they can act independently. Having people have to make unanimous decisions does have some risks with it. If the kids simply cannot come to an agreement, they may be looking at bringing the court involved to kind of break any deadlocks, and that can cost time and money. How
about it? Yeah, his legacy plan has been tweaked every couple of years because he says people and conditions change, and it's mostly for beneficiaries.
Absolutely. And even for the senior generation, we recommend that our clients review their plans every couple of years. It's a good idea just to check in and make sure that the plan's still meeting objectives, and also to consider whether there's any changes in the law that could impact the plan.
One of the quotes from the newsletter I love, and this is his belief, that wealthy parents should leave their children enough so that they can do anything, but not enough that they can do nothing.
Yeah, this is one of his famous sayings, and I really like it. And I think what's really important about it is that he has taken the time to define his philosophy around legacy planning and wealth transfer. And then he has designed his estate plan to match those legacy planning objectives. That first step of defining the philosophy can often get missed and is a really important part of having a plan in place that reflects your values.
This is a wild guess. I'm guessing nobody in the audience is sitting on $150 billion. For the rest of us, what's the good advice?
There's a lot of really good takeaways there, regardless of net worth. You're thinking about discussions with the family, the process for decision making, periodically reviewing estate plans. That applies to all of us.
Amy Kiskala is Director of Wealth Strategy at Annex Wealth Management, works on this stuff all the time in her role with Annex Private Client. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danny.